Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to yet another Neki broadcast. Today we are playing Angry Narwhal on clearing Gushes. We are Elf, which is a bit annoying to be fair. However, we are going to try, as usual, our best to win and obviously learn from our own mistakes and our opponent's mistakes. Now, let us see here. The village pattern, as always, is a bit weird on this map simply because top village, I mean the distance between top village and bottom village is just bananas to be fair. Anyway, now there are two keeps and one should alternate between them, right? So, but again, it's a bit 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a bit awkward, right? Because you can't really grab those villages in one go. I'm going to try with an archer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's reassuring. However, I'm going to get one. Believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. How about here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's okay, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is also fine. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm not going to even try that. But I do need elvish fighters. They are the bread and butter of any elvish army. Now, let's clear this up because it's clearing Gushes after all. See what I did there? Clear. Silly joke from my side, but joke nevertheless. Now, there are several options here. One is just be greedy and grab this village. That would be just terrible. Simply because there are 3 villages here waiting to be grabbed. From this perspective, I am more keen on recruiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will recruit an archer here. If this archer is quick, which it isn't, I would have used it to grab this village. Since it isn't, I will use it to grab this village. As always, another elvish fighter is needed. And I do need a scout. Now, I want to be careful not to overdo my recruits here. Because I'm getting minus gold for each and every recruit. However, it just feels that I should see what's coming at me. From this perspective, I would say a scout is in order. I plan to use it to get these villages in the back. Not really sure here what the best village grabbing pattern would be, but we will explore. So my intention is to perhaps use this elvish fighter here, this archer here, and then perhaps this elvish fighter here. Then to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, scrap everything I said. I'm gonna use this elvish fighter here and then there, because strong resilient on the top village is absolutely fantastic. Now I'm going to put my other elvish fighter here because this village needs to be grabbed. And my quick unit, my quick elvish archer would go in the back trying to grab this, and then he will quickly catch up with the rest of the army. So 3 units for 4 villages. It makes sense not to be greedy and basically isolate my elvish archer here. Although, if I do get my elvish archer here, I have the option to put on some pressure early on. But then I would be left with this elvish scout grabbing village after village after village, which is a daunting task for a single elvish scout. If I do use my elvish archer to grab the villages that are located in the back, then it would be absolutely. I would grab all these villages in the back in one go, right? So, Elvish Druid, perhaps Elvish Scout here, and Elvish Archer here. Now, this would mean that I would keep 3 units on this side, and I would keep 3 units on the other side. It would be a balanced recruit. However, I might want to do for example, Elvish Archer here with the option of creating numerical superiority on the left-hand side. So there are several other options, and if you happen to play this map several times with several factions, please do feel free to experiment. There are 2 stages to every learning process. One, it's exploration, right? You are trying out new strategies, new recruits, new mindsets, to see whether they work or not, right? And the second stage is perfect what you know. As part of the exploration stage, most of the time you will lose, right? So, or you could decide, okay, I'm done with exploration. I'm going to fall back onto a certain strategy that I'm familiar with, and I'm going to salvage the game, right? So, but it is you do have a higher chance of losing the game when you are exploring new strategies, just like I did on. Oh, I'm not going to spoil it for you. So there is a game where I lost within, let's say, going to give you a number. Let's say within the last 10 uploads, there is a game where I lost. Yeah, because I was exploring a particular map. Now here, I could be exploring, but since I am elf, so of course I have to explore, but exploration has a goal, winning, right? I could explore and take this scout here. It's exploring, right? So, of course, if I that's a bit silly, isn't it? Say this, and now I would put this elvish fighter on this side because I do want to grab this village as soon as possible. So I could explore, for example, use the elvish archer here and create numerical superiority on this side. Now, because I'm elf and because attacking is most likely, I'm not saying it's not, but most likely will not be an option, simply because elf is such a defensive faction. I'm keen on leaving the archer on this side, right? So I'm keen on leaving this archer here, and perhaps the Elvish scout in the background, and my leader grabbing this village in the back. And now I should have a quick archer ready to go left or right, depending on where it's needed. I have a scout which is keen on exploring, and to be fair, exploring at this moment in time is really not keen on scouting. Scouting at this moment in time is really not that important, simply because, look, I can't afford to recruit anything. Perhaps next turn, scouting to see what my opponent is would be useful. However, in most cases, I will be recruiting another elvish fighter. I'm sorry, but this is how elf works. It's pure defense if you want to stay alive for long enough that you can start attacking yourself. It is a fun race to play, though. Don't get me wrong. It's you know, as people say, you need to get creative in order to attack. But it can definitely put some pressure in terms of taking risks, right? So if you do take risks with elf, you would be. I mean, it's quite easy to take risks with elf. First of all, because they are quite nimble, and they have high defense, right? So you could, for example, push your elf forward into this forest, right? It's a strategic location. However, it's not particularly well defended. There aren't any other units helping him out, right? So it's basically, you know, attack this elvish fighter if you please. It's 60%. So let's see what happens. It's basically more like a bait. Now, let us see here. Let us get some intel, and it's going to be elf versus dwarf. This is the most painful matchup in the whole Wesnoth, especially if you are elf. So, ladies and gentlemen, be ready for a complete Campfest 2020, August 2020. I am not going to take any risks simply elves die to all sorts of units that dwarf has. Now, I'm a bit worried that I don't see anything on this particular flank. From this perspective, I would be keen on further scouting. Oh, okay, so I see what's going on here. What's going on here is that my opponent did not want to go too many outlaw units, because those units are a bit, they are definitely faster than dwarves, right? So he did not want to go such units for the sake of village grabbing. That's why you see all these anomalies, or apparent anomalies here. Now, I do want to scout on this side as well. From this perspective, I will use the archer here just to gain some intel. And I will definitely recruit some more. Not really sure here. Perhaps another fighter to grab this village, simply because there is an Orfseeker running around wielding an axe like a maniac. So I do need to be careful. I'm just pushing my units forward. Nothing spectacular at the moment. 5, 6. Okay, this could work. So quick, dexterous. It's not the best to defend versus an Orfseeker. However, it will have to do. Now, I do need some Wowsers. I mean, everything that dwarves are wielding is more or less blade, right? So Wowsers are not that great. However, they are great in the sense that they can regen and they can clean up fights and they can tank from. I mean, they are the only ones that can exchange blows with dwarves from flat. If you put elves on flat and dwarves on flat, it's just ridiculous. Dwarvish units will win 90% of the time. So it's just not an even fight. However, if you put the wows on flat, it can act as a shield. It can act as closing a line, right, from a difficult position. It can definitely help with those fights on flat, and you do need to be on flat whenever you are attacking. So from this perspective, wowsers are needed. However, wowsers are slow, and they are useful and they are needed. However, they are not particularly efficient, because as I was telling you, dwarf is wielding. Dwarvish units, core dwarvish units, are for the most part wielding blades. So, for example, griffins, they are wielding blades. Fighters, they are wielding blades. Thieves, they are wielding blades. However, if we get a line of wowsers and a line of thieves, wowsers will win. Wowsers are excellent versus footpads. They are excellent versus thunderers. They are excellent versus poachers, right? They are okay versus dwarvish fighters. However, dwarvish fighters are less expensive, and dwarvish fighters have higher defense. In which case, wowsers are terrible versus dwarvish fighters. So it will be just a weird position in which I will be recruiting wowsers and he will be recruiting dwarvish fighters, and dwarvish fighters are slow. My wowsers are slow as well, so it's going to be slow versus slow. My brain is going to hurt, and you, ladies and gentlemen, will absolutely be possibly thrilled, because you're going to see me squirming in this game left and right and complaining about how boring this game is. So from this perspective, this game does have the potential of being entertaining. However, it's it's not going to be an action-packed game, I can tell you that. Time and time again, I have thrown my elvish units at dwarves, and and it did not end well. From this perspective, before I get 3 wowsers, I'm not even going to try and do anything. So my opponent may not know it, but I do know it, and you, ladies and gentlemen, know it. So it's going to be, well, I'm not even sure. Okay, as long as I stay away from this Orfseeker, should be able to scout. Okay. That is interesting. So I'm seeing an opening here. It's not a massive opening, don't get me wrong, but it is an opening. So I'm just going to grab this particular tile. I could even be a bit more daring, I feel. At this point, I just want to see more. Perhaps this should be enough. So as you can see, I'm putting my scout here. Why? Because any path that is going around my opponent, right? It's either this one or this one is going through the forest. So if he does block me here, I have multiple choices to go around. Whereas if I would go closer to this mountain, then he could block me much more effectively. If I go a bit deeper into enemy territory, I'll have to go through this hill. So I'm not keen on doing that. However, if he does block me, which I'm sure he won't, I do have this Elvish fighter to help out. Now, in terms of my unit placement, I'm keen on sending perhaps, I mean, this should be good enough, I think. This should be able to go and put pressure on this side via this route. Shouldn't be any problem. Now, I do want to prevent him from scouting. Let's see here. 8, so he will go probably here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, he's not going to scout my wows. This one perhaps will scout my wows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, he won't. As long as I keep my units aggressively in this to this forest, he won't scout my wows. Anyway, he knows. He knows wars are coming. It's no secret. Now, if I could get my archer all the way here, okay, that's interesting information. So, I'm not really sure where his units are, but my archer is on 70% here, so I'm not that scared. I'm even keen on perhaps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not worth it, I guess. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Try and be a bit more bold here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's not actually worth it. Not really sure how to best play this. How to place this? I'm keen on placing it on flat, just so I can put more pressure. But as I said, placing units on flat versus dwarf, not the best of ideas. Now, luckily for me, this Orfseeker it's not dealing much. It's not doing much there. But I shouldn't be too courageous. Now I feel that this could be a good placement, but I also need to defend this village, so I don't want to push my luck. This is not a quick fight. It cannot gain me a lot of scouting information. From this perspective, I would be perhaps better off placing it here in this forest, or even better, place the archer in the forest and place this fighter on 50%. That should be good enough to prevent the griffin from scouting my recruit. This is more of a statement that I'm not scared of you, and I'm looking to perhaps advance on this village of yours. Oh, there is his leader. At least he has a terrible leader. At least that is going well for me. Okay, so I'm faking some pressure top, especially with this Elvish fighter on flat. I'm faking the fact that I intend to do something great. You know, put some pressure here with two Elvish units, right? Two frail Elvish units. That's not going to happen. I know it. He knows it, but it's basically saying if you have some units here in the shadows that I don't know about, and you want to come here and attack me, sure, attack with the griffin, attack this Elvish fighter, not a problem. And then we can talk business, right? I have to be careful though, simply because if he indeed has units, I mean, this Dwarvish fighter is quick, and if he grabs this strategic position, then he will put direct pressure on this village. So I don't particularly agree with this fighter here, but you have to remember fighter is only 14 gold, whereas this Griffin Rider is 40 gold. So I am basically inviting him to attack me so that I can start the fight here in this region of the map. However, most of my units are concentrated on this side of the map. But again, I'm putting some pressure with this. Arguably, I'm putting some pressure with this Elvish scout on this side of the map. And I'm having other units that could perhaps put pressure on these villages. From this perspective, perhaps this archer should have been a bit more in a more advanced position. To just keep luring units to this side. Now, okay, I don't think he's going to do much here. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not really sure. Yeah, he's not going for the fighter. I'm guessing it would have been a bait. So I'm guessing he does not have units ready on this side. Perhaps a thief. If he had a thief there, I would have gone for the fight, to be honest. Sorry, I had to drink a sip of water there. This was it's a bit dry, especially casting dwarves versus elves. I feel that I'm going to need lots of sips of water in order to drown my sorrow away. So it is going to be brutal. I can assure you of that. To be fair, the ball is in dwarves' court, so he should be the aggressor at this point. I should be the one that keeps his units in strategic positions. For example, oh god, I see what's going on here. So I lured his units onto this side of the map, although if you look here, I'm completely naked. It's really difficult for me to defend this village. So definitely I'm not going to do anything silly of the likes of attacking here. Definitely not. Say the walls here and hope for better days. Definitely I'm going to retreat with my scout. There is no question about that. He is planning to abuse the mobility of griffins to fight me. So from this perspective, I should be simply recruiting another elvish fighter at this point. Plus, I see an Elfseeker. I do need to recruit elvish fighters until I get strong ones. Intelligent, resilient. Well, it's better than quick, dexterous. That is a fact. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, definitely, he kind of... Does he have something here? I'm sure he has a trap prepared for me there. It just feels that he has too few units on the map. So I have already recruited 9 units, and I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is too few units. Too few. He definitely has something there. Now, with this being said, the archer is far away. Oh, okay. This is actually Forest Flood. So I could perhaps do this. No, he definitely has something here waiting for me. Can't be. Can't be. Well, with this being said, I will definitely not go for the village. There it is. There it is, Elfseeker. So quick Elfseeker. Okay, he's going to attack, and I'm really happy with my fighter recruit. I kind of need to go on the other side and recruit there as well. Now, I'm not too bothered about this, simply because I can retreat back to the safety of my... I hate this planning mode, but unfortunately. So, for example, here, right, he can't really reach my archer on this side, right? The archer is completely safe. So I'm fine from this perspective. So I will just say yes, and then deactivate the planning mode. I hate this planning mode. Delayed shroud updates was much better, but apparently it's not working now, so I guess you can't have everything. You can't have both. That would be just absolutely insane. Can you imagine a world where both features would work? That would be insane. Now, I guessing Elvish Archer should be... I'm not really bothered about where the Elvish Archer is, because Elvish Archer is not the one to, not the one to be first in the front lines, right? He will never be in the front lines. He'll be the one following up with ranged attacks, right? It's an attacking unit. It's not a defending unit. So from this perspective, I'm not too bothered about its positioning. Now, what I am bothered about is the positioning of this scout, because it's quite frail. So that should be absolutely fine. And I'm bothered about this positioning of this fighter, because this should also be a unit that is defending. So I am going to... Again, I don't want to be too scared. I don't want to show him that I'm scared of anything. So from this perspective, it will be... Well, but also I don't want to get free damage into my fighter, so I want to be able to go either way, to be fair here. So this fighter definitely needs to stay on 60%. He definitely did not see my wows coming. And the leader, I definitely want him in this area, simply because this area seems to be getting a lot of attention lately. Now, I'm a bit scared about this Elvish fighter, simply because the Griffin Rider can choose to go around. However, if he does go around, he will expose himself to my archer. Anyway, as I am rambling on, time is passing by. So, yes, it's all about... It's like if you'd prefer an analogy to chess, right? There are certain games which are called open center, right? So there is a pawn exchange at the beginning, and the center is wide open for the lightweight pieces like bishops and knights to express themselves, right? And perhaps later on even rooks, right? Depending on the columns that are left open, right? So there are open games, open center games, where the tension at the center of the board has been more or less annihilated by a pawn exchange. And there are also closed games where black player is trying to delay a pawn exchange, and is trying to keep the pressure. It's trying to keep a blockade of pawns in the middle. And then there are still, behind this blockade of pawns, there are still moves going on in the background. But these moves, they prepare positions, that will happen 10 moves afterwards. So an attack will happen 10 moves afterwards, and I'm preparing slowly, simply because there isn't much space to go around. So I have to place my units in the right position. So this is the same. This is a closed game of chess. So, oh, never mind. There is opening up the board by our player here, attacking a 50% Elvish fighter without mercy. And as I was rambling on, there he is, opening up the board and going for it. So that is the power of Griffin Riders 12-2. It's basically a grunt on roids. Wow. Guess this is going to be difficult, because he has just split my army into two. So it's definitely going to be difficult to defend. Now, and he has Ulfseeker coming. So remember, Ulfseekers are coming. He'll be able to basically attack my fighter at this point. I was a bit disappointed, because I took too much damage for 50%. I feel that I could have taken a bit less damage, right? So I don't think it's fair, but you know, life in general is unfair. It's beautiful, but it is unfair. Now, there is also always the question of these wows, right? What do I do with the wows? Do I basically, do I reveal it? Do I not? Well, I'm just going to go for it. So the gloves are off at this point. I am going to go for sure, yeah. Whether that is the best move, definitely, probably, definitely not. Mm, not really sure how to best play this, if I'm completely honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be second watch anyway, so dexterous, quick dexterous, that is just terrible. Terrible combination of elves. And he's just going to keep coming, isn't he? Now, I will say quick dexterous here. Dexterous here, another quick dexterous here. Okay, and now I'm going to, now he's going to go for this, so I'm not happy with that, but apparently I've lost my chance to grab this mountain here. So he's probably going to go for the mountain. However, the mountain doesn't necessarily give him anything, to be fair. Now, since I'm going forward with one unit, might as well go forward with the rest, right? So okay, see dwarvish fighters here, so no point in going too crazy, I guess. Okay. If he does want to zone of control me, he would have to do it with some griffins. But the best way to play this would be to not be zone controlled at all. So from this perspective, perhaps, again, 50% has not been very kind to me. So I'm going to rely on it one more time, simply because I do not have a choice. Now he is going to go for this village here, and he's going to get my archer, strong, resilient archer. Now, not really sure what to do or say about that. Not really sure whether I can prevent it either. But what I can do is try to put more units there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And that should be enough of a deterrent, I feel. One, two, three, 4. Should be enough of a deterrent. I mean, he has to put something on the village, right? So I would say get the walls here. Now, if I do go on 60%, I'm definitely going to die. However, even if I die, he will need multiple turns to kill my archer. However, if I do go back with the archer, so this particular elvish fighter will die, but at what cost? Or at least this is what I'm hoping that the morale of the story would be. But if I do go and I deal some damage to this Allseeker, but it will be from 50%, right? So perhaps I could increase my chances of surviving. It's just Just does not seem worth it at this point, so I'm not going to do that. I am simply going to retreat and hope for the best. Oh, that is poor positioning because he can come down 60% and attack my fighter. Well, you can't get everything right, especially with this time and with the move that my opponent did. So I lost already 40 gold. I'm not keen on losing my archers. Losing a fighter is fine because I can deal some. Well, he's going to go for the village anyway. Losing a fighter is fine because the fighter deals, or in theory, it should deal retaliatory damage, right? However, losing archers, which are basically 17 gold, and they deal very little retaliatory damage. I'm not very keen on that. Now, my leader, remember, it deals magical damage as well, so he should pay attention to that. My scout here is not doing much because you just blow air on this scout and he's going to fall apart. This is basically what dwarves think about elvish scouts. However, my scout is really threatening quite a number of villages here, 1, 2, 3. So it's good positioning. Also, it's outside the range of these griffins, right? So that should be enough. Also, the fact that my fighter is here, I hope that it will at least lure some of his Oathseekers back, right? Okay. That was unexpected. So he's basically saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's basically saying, I can reach this village. No matter what you do, I'll be fine. Fine, but I can still reach the village myself. So it's an interesting play. Now, this Oathseeker is becoming cocky, so I think now is the my chance to basically fight him, do the move with the archer from 50%. Simply because he's far away from his reinforcements. And yeah, it's I mean, even if he does kill the archer, I will immediately kill him back. No questions asked. There's nobody to help him here. Also, because he took his Oathseeker, he can't really clear this village. He can't. I mean, definitely he will use an Oathseeker, but that Oathseeker will die. Unless he gets incredibly lucky with his other units, that Oathseeker will die. And this is a bit of... So he took a risk here, but now he's being a bit incoherent. He's trying to do too many things at once, right? He is trying to put pressure on this village. He's trying to grab this village under the nose of these archers, right? He's also trying to heal his griffin rather than perhaps attacking an archer or putting more pressure on the village or perhaps getting his village back. So he's also... is he going to ignore this village? I'm curious. I mean, a strong, resilient fighter on a village is quite difficult to kill with dwarf. I mean, even Oathseekers, they will struggle to grab, to kill. They will really struggle. What is he doing here? Really excited about this game and about how my opponent played. It really made such a boring matchup into something more interesting. So it basically, I was almost falling asleep, and suddenly I woke up to this dwarvish fighter grabbing my village, which is refreshing to see. Now, I would hope for one attack here simply because I want to use the element of surprise with my wows, right? I'm not sure whether this is going to happen or not. However, it felt that because his Griffin Rider had survived and was successful in his attack, it felt that he could use it once more on another unit, perhaps even this fighter here. However, with this fighter here, he would have basically been too close to my wows and to my leader. But this would have been a very, very rewarding target. Okay, he's protecting his Oathseeker. That is fine. It's absolutely understandable. However, I'm not going to, stand by and disappear silently into the night. I'm going to take action, and I am going to do this simply because, right, this is the only way the Dwarves can reach this village. And then I am going to recruit more fighters. I feel that is in order, recruiting more fighters at this point. Dexterous, I wish for strong fighters. Now, there are several ways to play this. One way is to basically bring the leader forward. However, leader can die so easily to these Elfseekers, right? However, I'm willing to take the risk, so I'm willing to deal as much damage as possible. And now, this intelligent, quick archer, again, I'm perhaps not too keen on putting these archers forward, simply because, okay, strong, resilient. I want to also be dealing with this Elfseeker in one way or the other. But let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Yeah, I can't really reach this Elfseeker. Now, I do want to be able to protect my leader, so from this perspective, perhaps taking this particular archer here be a good idea. There it is. That is a kill, so archers are good versus... Now, I do have to be careful. I do need to protect my leader, no matter what. So, best choice, I think, is put the Elvish fighter on this 60%. Or not even that. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not going to reach anyway, is it? Well, I do want my fighter outwards because I want my fighter to be able to catch this off. Right, so strong, resilient here. No, that's going to be, it's going to hurt. 35, 38. It's probably a good placement here. Okay, that solves the issue on this side. Okay, now on the other side, with the Elvish fighter on this village, I think I should keep him there. I'm not too worried about this Elfseeker simply because it's really easy to clear the village, right? And I hadn't used my wows, by the way. So if, but you could say, well, Nikki, what if this archer missed? Well, if this archer missed, the wows would have cleared that fighter. Either way, right? Now, I do want to go back with my... Not really sure how far this particular unit can see. Okay, I'm not going to show my... I'm not going to show my fighters just yet. I'm just going to keep them there. I'm still hoping that he will basically run into this, to these units. Okay. This scout has done its job. Time to go home. He might know about this wows. He might do... I feel that the logical thing to do is basically put the wows there and move the fighter on this side to help. However, I do want to keep the element of surprise, and these fighters here, 60%, 60%, they represent a deterrent, and also a right, a more or less a some sort of bait. Right, I will use this. I will lose this village, not a problem, because I still have this in the center of the map, which would be incredibly annoying for him to get back. Right, he needs the backstabber. However, day is coming. Not really sure whether I can scout a bit. That is really, really dangerous what I'm doing here. 3 seconds left on the clock. So there is my time gone by. problem is when losing units with elf versus dwarf, the problem is you have to replenish with fighters. You really don't have a choice. I mean, of course, I lost a fighter, I have to replenish a fighter, but even if I had lost an archer, I feel that a fighter was needed simply because there are elves, elf suckers on the field, and I do need a way to address them. Now, he could try to go for this archer. He would need basically 3 hits with the Griffin Riders, and then a Dwarvish Elfseeker on the village, kill the leader. So if he does get 3 out of 4 hits with the Griffin Riders, then this Elfseeker is going to kill my leader from the village. Definitely, no questions asked. But he needs to kill the archer. Yes, but my YouTube crowd, and don't you want to see this? So please leave your comments below. Don't you think it would be spectacular? But 3 out of 4, basically Griffin Rider attacks, that would clear the archer, and then Dwarvish Elfseeker from the village will absolutely demolish my leader. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, really exciting times. He went for this side of my defense simply because it looked so weak. As you can see, all my units are here, and I'm not Drake. My faction is not Drake. Therefore, it's difficult for him to attack, right? So there it is, 60%. Finally, justice, ladies and gentlemen. So minus 13%. Finally equalized here, and a bit more damage dealt. That is the issue with Griffins, right? They can be really, really excellent, like you saw here, versus 50%. But when they miss, again, you are relying on that 12 damage, and if that 12 damage does not go in, your whole plan is in shatters. Now, he could use the Elfseeker to attack the Elvish fighter, however, so he was relying on some hits on the Elvish fighter, so he could clear the way. However, oh, what is he doing? Okay, that we were expecting that. However, I feel that this attack would have been a bit better on this fighter here in the village, simply because if you clear the fighter in the village, you also get a village as a prize, whereas if you clear this guy in the castle, you get nothing in return. I'm not really sure why he didn't go for that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He could definitely reach the fighter in the village. I'm just thinking perhaps perhaps this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this one couldn't reach. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Dwarvish fighter could not reach, so probably that's why he did not go for fighter in the village. Anyway, probably he's going to go now for village fighter, but if he misses with the Griffin Rider, then he's going to be absolutely in huge trouble. Huge trouble. Another way he could have gone for leader kill should have been if he went for with Dwarvish Elfseeker for this Elvish archer. However, this is a strong, resilient archer. So I'm not really sure whether the Elfseeker would have won the fight or not. So it's basically, well, so it's 30% defense versus 60% defense. It's really depending on how well the Elfseeker would have hit, and then he needed 3 out of 4 with the Griffin Riders. So was 1 kill here versus the strong resilience Elvish fighter, Elvish archer, and then 3 out of 4 with the birds. Anyway, he did not want to go for it. He went for these fighters instead, which is a bit odd. I mean, I can see that this side is a bit weak, but I would have personally gone for these Elvish fighters. Anyway, these Elfseekers have not fought once in the whole game. They are there for intimidation purposes. But you see, because my fighter is here, okay, let's have a look what we can destroy today. So, first and foremost, it is really important to make use of the wows. It's day, so now you will see the power of the wows. So you see. He must. I'm not sure whether he's surprised or not, but I'm thinking here I could go for even more. So I could perhaps, again, not really sure whether I should be greedy or not. I just feel that I'm stretching my luck a bit. Now, this Elvish fighter is great at the village, right? So no point in taking any. I mean, I could use the Elvish scout as a lure, right? Because if they attack the Elvish scout with, he has nothing to attack the Elvish scout with except other fighters, right? So I could try to do this first. Okay, that did it. So no point to commit the. Okay, I see here what's going on. No point to commit the Elvish fighter, right? Now he's going to try for backstab. It's good for him. However, I'm going to have none of it. I am going to basically try to get back that village using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to use anything. Swords. I also need to put a little bit of pressure here. So from this perspective, I will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever happens on this side, okay, I'm going to put some pressure on this Olsika. Whatever he wants to do, he has to make up his mind relatively quickly. Now, then I'm going to put some pressure here as well. Sure, backstabbing action going left and right, not a problem. But do it on an Elvish fighter who's going to absolutely shatter you in return. Now, in terms of this side, I would say intelligent quick archer here to close the line. No more backstabbing action on this side. Elvish Scout stays very well where it is. There is no pressure from this footpad, so only one unit that can reach him from this perspective. This Elvish Scout is quite happy. In terms of recruits, I would say another. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to put a bit more pressure here as well. So I don't want these birds flying around wherever they please. Now, I do want here to be able to kill this Elvish fighter, and then at the same time and afterwards get the village. I feel pretty confident with the Elvish archer, strong Elvish archer on this side. So I'm going to put him on 70%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I feel pretty confident. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to recruit yet another Elvish fighter here. And this should be able to again defend versus this Olsika, and also we should be able to reinforce this side. And next, I will be recruiting more Wowses. This should be. I don't want to fight at this point. I just want to intimidate him, make sure that he retreats, he goes somewhere else, perhaps go for this strong resilient fighter. Not really sure. However, attacking into 2 Wowses during the day should be pretty bad for him. Now, I do want to see. No, I'm just going to leave the scout where it is. I wanted to push it a bit forward. However, I don't feel like it. I feel that the scout is doing pretty well where it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just scout a bit. See that there is indeed nothing coming. Go back and be happy. 2 units versus 1. This Olsika has already done enough. He should be going. She should be heading home. No point in stretching it. Stretching is. Oh, never mind. I don't even have to end turn because my timer expired. This game is quite intense, unexpectedly intense. Now, the Wowsers are on the table now. He knows exactly where they are. The element of surprise has already been used. I was able to kill basically his fighter. He should feel frustrated enough that he goes home. He should. But it remains to be seen. If he does break through on this village, it feels a bit like a trap, right? All these units here waiting to snap the trap, right? Especially with two houses that regenerate, and they are very good at fighting out in the open. So I'm not sure. I don't think he will go for this Elvish fighter. It would be pretty silly, to be honest, from his side to go for this Elvish fighter. Also, this Elvish fight, okay, that is an important fight there. It's really important whether he use his Dwarvish Seeker or that strongest unit fighter or not. That is a 60% Elvish fighter. He should deal a lot of damage before falling. So it's really important how much damage is he able to do before dying. So he needs to use the Dwarvish Oathseeker. However, this Elvish fighter should be pretty softened up in order for the attack to be successful. Okay, he's going with the bird. He's going with the bird, and ladies and gentlemen, he misses. That is absolutely huge. And this is basically the only beauty. Let me put it this way: the only beauty of dwarf versus elf is these kind of attacks. Oh, I forgot about the mountain. This is going to be absolutely huge. Is he going to kill my 70% versus 50%? Duel of the Giants here. Oh, absolutely incredible. I forgot about the mountain. I was like, my archer is on 70%, so he should be fine. However, I forgot about the mountain, which gives the Oathseeker 50%. So I shouldn't have been so confident with myself. This Oathseeker has more than paid for itself. So it's my mistake, ladies and gentlemen. This game is quite intense. So I would say this was the beauty of elf versus dwarf, if there is any beauty to it. It's these strategic positions, right? I'm on forest, I'm on castle, I'm on village, I'm on another village. So all I can do is put my fighters there and wait for him to attack and hope that he misses and that I retaliate a lot. Right? I don't have the option to break the strategic position. It's very difficult for me to do that. He can break the strategic positions with the Oathseeker. You saw there how he could kill a 70% archer. Sure, he had the mountain on his side, but still, he was able to kill it relatively easily. I would have expected the Oathseeker to have a bit less hit points there. I'm not sure whether he's just recruiting fighters, which means that I am stuck recruiting fighters and wowsers. That's all I can do, really. I can try to hide the wowsers here and there, but at one point he will know where the wowsers are. So it's 2 versus 2. That was really unnecessary from my side. Really poorly played, placing the archer there. The experience is, however, going to stay with my elvish fighter. So I'm going to kill the Oathseeker, and then the experience will be my elvish fighter. Now, there are several ways to do this. I can be aggressive, considering that it's still day, and I can try to basically soften up this thief a bit. Well, definitely, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kill this Oathseeker. Oh, he's dealing too much damage. He's just dealing too much damage. And now he has the mountain again to attack me if he chooses to do so. So from this perspective, I am a bit frustrated with that Oathseeker there and with the mountain RNG. I will probably send another one of my warriors in that direction. So there it is. And I feel that now I can even fight on flat a bit. So I'm going to go for it. I'm a bit frustrated, so I'm going to go for it. There it is. Thief. Some damage into the thief. Now, Wows on 40%, that should be able to deal with most aggression coming his way. Another fighter on... Just gonna scout a bit first. Okay, there is the Griffin waiting to pounce. I want to support my units here. I want to discourage him from doing, from committing to the attack on this fighter. Also, I want to discourage this Griffin Rider from doing any shenanigans. So again, it's a 16 hit point Griffin Rider. Now he should be really careful what he attacks and what he doesn't attack, simply because he's close to dying, let's put it this way. In terms of this scout, this should be good enough, I feel. In terms of my recruits, not really sure what I'm supposed to recruit at this point. Archers. Now, if this fighter dies, then he would be able to grab my villages, so at least he has to deal with this archer, even if it's intelligent quick. I just want to give the impression that this is a very strong attack, and I'm not scared at pushing through. In terms of other recruits, I would say at this point, one more wows. Now make it stressful for him, not know where the wowsers are. And in terms of this fighter, I would say heal the fighter. Why not? Heal the fighter. And that should put a lot of pressure on him. And it's still daytime, so he does not have the damage on the thief. I still have the damage on my wowsers, if he does decide to go for the wowsers, which I'm sure he won't. And if he does put his units on flat in this area, I do have some chances of responding, even if it's with my wowsers, and I do have some contenders for level 2s. The big factor here is that my Elvish fighter is still full HP. This is unbelievable. That Elvish fighter is Chuck Norris. He's not missing a beat with his dodges. And again, this is the only thing I can do. I can grab villages with my fighters, and I can hope that they survive. That's the only thing I can do. The only way I can attack with Elf. And it was a mistake from him to let me get that village with the fighter. It was perhaps he missed it. He wasn't paying attention. And it comes now. It cost him now, because his units have to stay on flat to attack him from all sides. Is he going to? Oh, that's just one hit. It still feels like too much. However, I feel that he should put his units on flat so that he can put his Offseeker on hill, because the Offseeker is going to die anyway. Might as well, the Offseeker can be put on hill, attack from 40%, leave the Elvish fighter with very low HP, and then use the Dwarvish fighter again from the hill, because the hill would be free, right? I know it's painful. He's using I mean, it's a bit painful knowing that you lose the Offseeker, but you can't have everything, right? You can't just use all these units and then expect the Offseeker to win. I mean, it's a strong, resilient 60% fighter, right? So it's going to cost you. Now, what he could do, he could try to go for the fighter on flat. However, it's difficult for him to reach him with his own fighters, right? So that's what I was saying. When you're doing dwarvish fighters versus elvish fighters, it's great. However, first one to get to it's great for the dwarf. However, if elvish fighters are the ones to get to the strategic points, it's very difficult to kill them, right? So from this perspective, it's going to be difficult to kill that elvish fighter, and I'm not sure whether he should backstab or whether he should. To be honest, if he backstabs and then uses the Wolfseeker and then uses the Griffin Rider to heal, I will go for the Wolfseeker if the Wolfseeker is still alive. Let's see. Is the Dwarvish Wolfseeker going to die? Is the fighter going to die? Who is going to die? And the Elvish fighter is absolutely the victor in this battle. So, is he going to go for it? He's going all the way, and he finally killed the Elvish fighter. I'm not really sure whether this is a good game or not, whether he will concede after this, but he definitely lost all his Wolfseekers on Elvish fighter, and that's definitely what we wanted to do, how we wanted to play it. And now I do have quite a lot of slots. I have a slot here on this Griffin Rider with the archer, and I have another slot with the fighter. I also have one hit with the wows on the thief, which I am perhaps going to go for. Haven't made up my mind yet, but I do have 2 slots, 3 slots. Okay, he is defending this. I don't agree with this. This is incredibly risky. Now, this is tricky here. So I did kill 4, did lose 3. I mean, he lost 3, but I lost 3 as well. Now, I feel that I'm a bit mad with these griffins, right? So I'm a bit mad. I feel that I should attack them. I mean, they have caused me a great pain, so I want some payback, right? So this perspective, I want to get that payback that I am basically, and I want to put now another fighter in a village. Now, in terms of my recruits, I don't feel like hiding the Wowses anymore. I feel that everything the cat is out of the bag, basically. I'm not really sure whether I should proceed with the attack. Definitely, if I want to proceed with the attack, I should probably get this 60%. Yeah, heals. That is heals. Okay, that is heals, definitely. Now, so if I do want to proceed with the attack, I would say can try to protect my Wowses as much as possible. Try to protect myself from backstab. I'm not really worried anymore about Wolfseekers, so I can even now push my archers forward. I'm not really worried about him getting my... Okay, he can backstab there. I don't know why I put this here. It's a bit silly from my side. I do... Okay, he could go for this fighter if he wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could definitely go for this fighter, which is on flat. He could go with the Griffin Rider, and perhaps from this perspective, I shouldn't have put my archer here. Well, it remains to be seen. However, I do need more fighters. he will have to use his Griffin Rider again, and he will be very close to leveling up. So from this perspective, perhaps I should retreat the Selfish Fighter. Not really sure. He will be able to backstab anyway, so I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to... That was silly of me, to be honest. It's just feeding units to him. That is just silly. So he's going to backstab his way, any way that he wants. Now, in terms of this particular village here, I'm keen on trying to put more pressure, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can definitely reach that now. So I'm trying to put more pressure here. And here this is just a distraction, the 60% defense distraction. It's not the best of distractions, but it's basically giving him too many things to do at once. So basically deal with this 60% distraction. Okay, he's not even taking it. As you can see, he's not interested in starting another fight here on flat versus 60%. If he did start a fight on 60% on flat, I would have been able to basically fully focus on grabbing this village, perhaps the other village. I would have reorganized my troops here in any way that I wanted. He can't even recruit now. So in case he wanted to attack, he would have had to definitely use his leader at this point. Another point for me is the fact that I killed the Griffin Rider. It's really important. That is a unit which gives him basically freedom of movement. Now, I will be recruiting another scout simply because I want to make sure I can grab this village. That is the only reason why I'm recruiting another scout. Scouts are so useless versus dwarves, because I want to be able to grab this other village now. In terms of thinking of leaving this fighter too, probably does not matter at this point. So this should be a good distribution of units, I feel. And this should be able to do further pillaging. Now, don't think these fighters are going to attack anytime soon. However, I'm keen on leaving my fighter there just in case. Okay, now this should be this one is intelligent dexterous. I would need quick fighters there. This should be enough of a deterrent. I could also take my quick dexterous fighter there if I wanted to. It just feels that it does absolutely nothing here. It's gonna a huge wave of dwarves is going to come now, and I don't have enough muscle coming, so it's going to be interesting. Okay. If I manage to keep this village for a while, these two villages actually, that should be fine. That should give me enough of an edge to slowly win this game. If I don't manage to keep these villages and he manages to kill my units relatively quickly and gain the villages back, then he has a fighting chance. So I only have 2 kills ahead of him. I do have great, you see the obstacles. Now this is the problem with dwarves. They can always regain villages with these Elfseekers, right? So, and I don't have strong resilient fighters anymore. I do have strong intelligent, which is great. Intelligent resilient, which is okay. Strong fighters is what I need to keep these villages. Quick does not really help me. Dexterous does not really help me. So it's really a pain to see all these quick, intelligent, resilient fighters. You need strong fighters versus dwarves. You need them on strong terrain. Now there is only one griffin flying around, so from this perspective, things are a bit better than they used to be. I am the one who has greater visibility and mobility. Not really sure here what he was doing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He definitely knew the Wows was here. What was he trying to do? Did he actually forget? Because if you count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he knew the Wows was here. So is he actually trying to kill it or just place the unit? Just place it here so it reduces my movement. Either way, oh, he should definitely cover this village. He does not want for the same thing to happen now, does he? Now with 3 Wowses, I should be fine. Should be fine. I'm half tempted to recruit a mage as well, but the minute I recruit a mage, I will just be trembling for Allseekers. It's just not worth it, to be fair. It would be better to just recruit Wowsers and take your chances with these footpads. Or even Elvish fighters, simply because footpads are vulnerable to blade. It just feels that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It feels that he should have perhaps recruited the Offseeker here to reach the village. Not that much in the back. Not really sure if I'm still in this game or not. Whether am I still connected or not? Is he actually thinking about his moves? Just going to ask, see whether any observer says something. But I think I'm still in the game. Probably he's using planning mode. Not really sure. Should be still in the game. Anyway, I plan to get this village here and try to keep it. Try to do basically the same. Well, it does not really depend on me, but if the same happens, that would be a great use of this fighter. Okay, I'm still in the game, definitely. Now I see the bird, the Griffin Rider, right? I see it leaving that outpost. As soon as I see the bird leaving that outpost, I know I need to put pressure here. So you see, immediately my fighter went in. Now, there is a question: where should I push these units forward? Should I push them towards this direction, or should I push them just forward towards this direction? 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's always a difficult question to ask yourself and also to answer. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Okay, I can't be backstabbed, so I'm fine. There is a potential for backstab there. Second watch. Or is there? Okay, I'm going to use planning mode again. So again, 3 slots there, and the Dwarvish Elfsicker cannot really reach it. And then I can put my archer here. And then, yeah, that should be fine, I guess. Should give me enough leverage, I guess. Should close the hill, make it unavailable. Okay, I do have a scout, but that scout is on 60%. If the line breaks, I'm only losing a scout. So can I use this scout as well? So I'm relying on Resilient Scout to hold the line. It's 60%, yes, but what if the scout dies? Then I am in trouble. Now I have 2 options. I can recruit Wowsers, or I can recruit fighters. I feel that 1 mage would be in order. I just feel that the mage is going to walk all the way up there, and then it's going to be killed by an Elfsicker. So from this perspective, I'm more keen on recruiting Wowsers. Given how I have the upper hand, perhaps fighters would be fine. I'm just going to recruit the walls here. Okay, as far as I remember, if I close turn, all these moves are going to execute. Poor scout. We shall see if the scout has enough stamina to withstand those attacks or not. However, he needs to be mindful of this village as well, so he should be stretched thin. If I do, yes. Planning mode at its best. I still like to use delay shroud updates better. Okay. So perhaps I could have moved this wows. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I couldn't have reached. This would have been the optimal placement for the wows, to be fair. So my scout can only be reached from two slots. You see now he's going for the scout. Can't hit it. 60% scout. Again, I'm using the scout, and it's just a 60% punching bag. It's not going to deal a lot of damage. So you see, it's actually has a lot of. He desperately needs to kill that scout. He desperately needs to push through, to split my army into 2 and kill this Elvish fighter. But again, he has to go through 60%, right? Oh, I completely forgot about this backstab. This is just a beginner's mistake. Just a beginner's mistake. I should have put my archer, I should have placed my archer in such a way, for example here, such that this footpad cannot get the scout. However, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Why? Because I actually lured his footpad away from the village. So actually this village is now free. I can take it. Even if my scout would have died, so even if the scout died, then he would have killed the scout, which doesn't deal any damage, really. I would have gotten a village, and his units would have been in a terrible position. I mean, at least some of them. For example, this thief and this Dwarvish fighter here would have been in a terrible position. Also, his units would have focused a lot on this side rather than this village. So not really sure at this point what he will do, how he will deal with this pressure from all these fighters. He is going for it, so the scout is almost dead. However, it's not hurt enough for it to die. I could now try to use my archer to finish off this thief, because the thief is the one dealing a lot of damage. So any units I kill at this point is hurting him so much more than it's hurting me. However, I'm also keen on leaving the scout here, see how much the scout can tank, and trying to do something else. For example, grab this village, or, well, even retreat, to be honest, at this point would be an option. So retreat this fighter into this village, considering the fact that I have this village. So I have 1, 2, 3 villages. I'm basically sitting pretty. I'm sitting pretty on 3 villages, right? So from this perspective, there is no reason for me to. There is no reason for me to panic. 3 villages, that is absolutely fine. And it's him that needs to make a mistake. Unfortunately, with Elf, you can't really say, "Oh, I'm quite ahead. Now I can use this fighter to attack this thief." You can't really say that. I mean, look at his army. That is a killing army. That will kill you. It's not pretty. It deals a lot of damage. It's very sturdy. Has high resistance, and fighting on flat, you will lose. So from this perspective, the fact that you have 1 village more or less, it doesn't really matter, right? So as long as I have 3 villages, that is a great position to be in. I should hold on to this position. I should perhaps use my wowses here to even use the wows on village, right? Wows on village at 20%, never mind, I forget I said that. So Elvish fighter on village, then close the gaps with these 2 wowses here. Perhaps even 1 wows on 30%. And that should be enough. Or perhaps 20% from 2 sides, 20% from 2 sides, then perhaps some fighter here to close the gaps in case something. Okay, so basically he doesn't care anymore. Now, because he doesn't care anymore about this side, he's playing basically unit versus unit at this point. I would say that I should play it conservatively. So, okay. Well, since that thief is almost dead, I'm kind of tempted to just sacrifice a unit. So, for example, this could be sacrificed. If I do use my archer here to kill the thief, right, then he will kill the archer. Not really sure here. He will kill the archer. It feels that because I control so many villages, at this point it's all about how many units I can kill. So he will get level 2s when killing my units, and he would use those level 2s to deal even more damage to me and my army. But at the same time, putting an archer on flat is basically giving him food, which I don't intend to do. I could perhaps get this village. However, it's not really sure. These wowsers will take ages to get there. But I will just keep recruiting them. It's basically unit after unit after unit. It'll take a long time for them to get there, but they will get there. As you can see, these dwarvish fighters, they do deal a lot of damage to the wowsers, so it's not like it's not a silver bullet. Some part of me is just saying, form a line, let him come at you. He's the one that needs to take risks. You don't need to take risks at this point. Another part of me is saying, look, this is a free kill. Every unit that you kill is causing him tremendous harm. So, not really sure which part of me I should listen. These bosses will take a long time to arrive. So although it seems that I am ahead, I'm not that ahead, simply because these bosses are incredibly slow. So I would say it's better to wait for my reinforcements and organize my army accordingly. So, for example, let's put this walls here. Let's put the other walls here. If I do want to take some risks, I can take some risks of this sort. So, for example, now I'm limiting the amount of area that he has on my fighter. I'm limiting it to, well, even this, for example. This can also be a risk. So basically, I'm putting my Elvish Archer on 50%, right? But I could also I could put this one on 50%. And then I could put the Elvish Fighter on the village, right? So if he does want to attack, right, he has only one slot on the Elvish Archer. You need to kill everything else to get to the Elvish Archer. Also, I'm putting this on 60%. I'm closing down the line here, right? I'm closing down the line. He has to attack this Elvish Archer. This Elvish Fighter, and he cannot reach it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he will have difficulties in clearing this village, right? So also these walls, as he only has 2 attacks on them, right? So it would be incredibly difficult for him to plow through. Also, he would have to kill here 2 units. He will have to kill the Elvish Archer on the village and these 2 fighters, and that's not going to happen very easily. Also, these units here can go behind, can help. They will eventually come into the fight, even if they seem remote at this point. They will eventually help. So it is looking pretty well at this point. Conservative approach, waiting for my WoW's reinforcements to arrive. If he wants to fight, sure, but fight on flat versus an organized line of elves. To not fight, versus an archer on 40%. At least I have here an archer on 60%. So it's 40%, make it a fighter. Oof, that's not pretty. I mean, I knew this would happen eventually, right? That scout needed to die one way or the other. Its death was delayed, but and he will definitely get a level 2 unit after that. But now what I need to do, I need to wait for even if he has some level 2 units. Again, first of all, I should organize my units in a line, like I'm doing here, to prevent him from getting kills, from preventing him to get back into this game by killing my units, leveling up his units, etc. Right? So I do need a line of units. Also, I need to hold these 3, 4, or 5 villages for long enough so that my bosses can actually reach the fight. It will take a long time, but I need to wait for these bosses to reach the fight. Perhaps I should diversify my units with archers as well. Archers are quite good at killing dwarves on flat, and so they are a bit faster than these wowsers. Probably archers would also be a good investment. Okay, he's going for the wowsers. You see, he does not have much choice. He's perhaps going to use the Elfseeker. The Elfseeker is on 30% though. Is he going to get the wows? And he got the wows, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Maybe I was a bit careless with the wows there. However, he has to cover. He has to cover his Elfseeker. Otherwise, you see, I have a slot here. Okay, normal planning mode. I have a slot here. So you see, he did go for it. He was desperate. He did go for the wows, and he did break my defense. Right? He has now a lot of slots on most of my units. Right? He can really he can really cause a lot of trouble for me. However, I am still holding the villages, so that was a wows on 20%. That wows was not defending anything. Well, of course, it was defending my front line. Right? I did not want my units to to die, so that's why I had my wows there to close the front line. Now he will need to close his front line with another unit on 30%. Sure, he can grab these two strategic points, but still he has just so much ground to cover, right? So it's getting interesting at this point. You see, he was going to attack anyway, so might as well do it here where I feel comfortable, rather than putting my archer on flat just to kill a thief. It's just not worth it. I do have some area on his trapper here, but it's always right. It's always difficult when going for these level 2 units because you might, you might just simply die. Or you might get the trapper to 1 hit point, and then all your effort will be in vain, more or less. Okay, he also has a nice front line here, right? He does not want to, obviously, he does not want to. Let me see what I can do. Okay. Now I'm keen on also doing some damage myself. Right, so, but I'm doing damage in an organized manner, right? So I have some sort of front line, right? So it was 1-for-1 exchange, but I do have some sort of front line, right? So I'm not going to go for his trapper just yet. Just don't feel that this would be an intelligent move. I could go for his trapper with the wows, I suppose. So I could. Well, I definitely want to help out a bit here. I could also put my wows. The problem with the trapper is that he has 30% defense, so I really don't feel comfortable with that. So 30% defense, I would rather attack 30% defense and get some guaranteed damage in, right? Now I'm not very scared about this Offseeker anymore, right? So it's not going to deal tremendous amounts of damage. I am attacking the 30% targets. Oh, fail. And I do have a line here. If one unit dies, the other one takes over. Now, in terms of my unit placement, I would say deal some damage on the trapper, right? Discourage him from doing such moves in the future, right? Discourage him from. He has to be more careful next time he does this. Now I do want to push forward with my units, further discourage him from further close the line. Now my units are on 40%, so if he wants to deal damage, he should attack these units, but that would basically alleviate the pressure on my other units here, right? So there's always downsides and upsides, I guess. Now, me putting the units here in this line, which makes them more or less vulnerable, but I have units on this side as well, reminds me of the fact that I've neglected this right-hand side. I mean, if these units die, I have no reinforcements to grab these villages. So from this perspective, it would be better if I keep recruiting Elvish fighters also to reinforce these villages. Plus, I would be able to recruit 2 units at once. So Elvish fighter here, right? And now I think I can sustain Elvish fighters on both sides, because if these units die, I need to be able to reinforce and get these villages. Now, I don't want to get into a fight where I don't have Elvish fighters on villages. I do need to keep those villages, I feel. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay, I don't think that he has any real income. I think he has negative income at this point. Again, I don't want to rush it. I want him to keep coming to this line of defense here, although, mind you, I don't have that many units at this point to maintain this line. There are 2 Wowsers coming, however, Wowsers at night, they are not that good. Okay, he leveled up his Griffin. That was to be expected. To be fair, it was bound to happen eventually. That was also great use of this Griffin as well. Anything he attacks, though, he needs to attack with melee. He needs to attack this walls with melee. Everything he attacks with will get a tremendous amount of retaliation damage, right? So he needs to be careful with that. Again, if he uses a lot of units on the wows, he won't be able to deal with these approaching units, so he has to be careful about that as well. Now, he will kill this wows, I guess, with he has a strong one. He will kill this wows for this particular. But you see, he did get a lot of damage in, so these fighters are going to die eventually. He should get this archer as well. Although it's tricky because if he does get this archer, he will place his units on 30%, right? So not really sure if this also can do anything, but really, he can't do anything about anything, to be fair. He does have a thief, which will be terrible at night for me, but remains to be seen whether he can leverage its power or not. Does he have enough gold to recruit? He only has 3 villages. I wouldn't expect him to have enough gold to recruit. Now I'm slowly starting to regret these wowsers. I should have probably recruited simply fighters. If he has enough gold to recruit, I will definitely start regretting these wowsers. He shouldn't. Surely he doesn't. I mean, he only has 3 villages. He couldn't possibly have enough gold to recruit, can he? I've been holding these villages for quite long now, so Does he have money to recruit a thief? No, he doesn't. Okay, at least that. Now, the problem is, for him, not for me, is that I do have access to these fighters. So now I am really keen on basically using my units to exchange blows, right? Also, I want to attack this with the wows as long as the wows is still healthy. So now I have these 2 fighters which are almost dead. So from this perspective, I am keen on finishing them off. Now I have to be careful what units I use here. Thinking at this point it's more important to kill units rather than taking villages, although one more village should probably prevent him from recruiting anything. Now, in terms of what units to kill, okay, this is the problem with fighters, right? They do get, again, flat versus flat. You see what happens here. It's really painful to watch. Now, I could try to close the line in this way, right? So this would mean that he would have to, okay, at least that. Again, any unit I kill, it's really painful for him. Now I have to be careful though here. Need to keep placing my units as much as possible on 60%, right? Now this would be 60% everywhere, so whatever he attacks, he could attack 50% here and kill my scout, definitely. and he could kill my scout with. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. So we had to interrupt the game and reload. So this is the situation we were in last time, and Angry Narwhal was the one who was supposed to move. As you remember, I had my army of Wowsers and Elvish fighters coming to get him. Oh, oh, that hurt. That really, really hurt. He's probably going to plow through my units here. However, I'm hoping for some retaliation. I'm not saying that it should be generous. I'm just saying it should be some. Uh, Remains to be seen if I do get the retaliation that I need. Oh, there it is. He has some nice hits on my fighters. You know, this can happen with fighters. They can be strong in villages, or they can die like paper airplanes. Now, still not over for me. So I am behind in terms of kills, sure, but I do have the village advantage. He basically has no villages whatsoever. His leader is also not what he used to be in terms of hit points. He hit 60% pretty well, I have to admit. However, I don't think. I mean, if he gets this village, it means one less unit that will hit, right, my units. If he decides to use these fighters also have low HP. My fighter also can die pretty easily, right? Pretty easily. Remains to be seen what unit he prefers to use on my fighter, or whether he just prefers to get some villages and then get some recruits going. Is he going to actually use this footpad somewhere? He's going to try to run by and perhaps get some of his villagers back. As you can see, he is not the one being cautious. He doesn't want to place his units. I mean, he has his units on 60%, 50% because Griffin Master, it's always a 50%. 50% covering his units, right? So nobody dares to attack. He does not want to get this village simply because that would be a free hit for the wows. Now, he does need to attack though, because if he waits more, then I will basically keep reinforcing and he won't be able to do. Okay, never mind. He just wants to protect his Allseeker. I guess that's one way to do it. Now, he did not go for this fighter. Probably expects me to attack. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that, to be fair. 13-2. I mean, 16-2, 16-2. Yeah, sure, but not really sure here what to do best. I mean, I do have several hits. On this particular dwarvish fighter, but it just feels a bit silly to just throw all my units at him, hoping that I kill him. It just feels that I'm not the one who should be taking risks at this point. Perhaps just attack the leader here, see what happens. It's a good hit on the leader. So he should be, also he has one more unit to be mindful of. Could perhaps keep attacking the leader with, or even with the wows at this point, 13-2. Could be attacking the footpad as well, however the footpad does not deal real damage. Could be suiciding my Elvish fighter. I mean, if my Elvish fighter was to do something, oh, of course, doing absolutely nothing. Well, I guess the Elvish fighter was bound to die anyway. Let's make sure the leader can't really recruit in a great position. Given he's level 2, I think it's safe to say that shamans would be great to slow down the level 2 and help my other units kill it. Probably I should, instead of recruiting all these Wowsers, it would have probably been better to keep recruiting pure elves, simply because pure elves are faster, they can hold villages better, and well, sure, they do get a lot of damage, they don't heal it, they have low hit points, they die quickly, but they do deal some retaliation. It's not about being perfect anymore, it's simply about surviving long enough in order for these villages, the income from these villages to kick in. Yeah, this is an offering, and I regret that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just pulled my injured unit back. Now I'm simply giving him experience, free experience, and he could use that experience to kill my fighters really easily. But he also has to be careful with the trapper. I mean, if he does attack with the trapper now and leaves it in a terrible position, trapper might die. So that's okay. There is the inevitable recruit. It's all about managing experience at this point. He could use the Dwarvish fight. I mean, he can't level up this Dwarvish fighter, but he could get this particular Elfseeker close to leveling up by attacking this Elvish fighter. So level 2 Elfseeker would be pretty painful. Okay, he's going to keep attacking with this Griffin Master. I'm not too bothered about the fact that he did not, that I did not hit him. I'm happy that he did not hit me. It was really important that my Elvish fighter remained with its hit points intact. Simply because this deals tremendous damage, 16-2. That is just unbelievable. Now, in terms of his other options, I don't expect him to keep attacking with these Dwarvish fighters. It just doesn't feel right. However, you see, the Griffin Master is ready to grab this village back if he chooses to. Of course, I'll have my strong resilient fighter in place. Although I feel that at this point I could even ignore this village. Oh, that was a lucky fighter. That was a really lucky fighter. But you see now, he also has the problem of basically he needs to put a unit here, here, and he needs to put, okay. You see, that's the problem with the leader. Now he must kill my Elvish fighter. Otherwise he's in terrible. Okay, never mind. It's going on well for him. But he does need to block this now. He does need to block this. He can't He can't leave this open. He has to block this, but then he would leave the Elfseeker. See, he's just trying to do too much. Okay. Look, this particular fighter can also reach the Elfseeker. He's trying to do too much with too little there. So it's just too complicated for him at this point. Whatever he does, he has one more unit to worry about. Now, in terms of experience, I would want to put the experience in this particular fighter here, but then oh no, okay, at least that didn't even look at the odds. It just felt right. Now I have several options here. I could take the village, or I could just go for the damage, right? I guess at this point, damage hurts him more than anything else. I could also get close to this particular poacher, or I could wait for night, because there is no rush for me. I'm in no particular rush. Now, if I do attack the thief would level up next turn, so it would just seem like a waste. So from this perspective, I'll just grab the village and be happy with that. Not really sure whether I should worry at all about this village. I mean, if he does grab his village, this is basically the Griffin Master doing one less thing in that turn. What I do want to do to restrict his movement a bit. Well, perhaps since I'm restricting his movement, I can even be a bit more courageous with this fighter. Grab this village, secure it. Another fighter here. Some archers, a good measure. Really sure if I should be pushing my wows forward or not. He can go for the scout if he wishes to. It'll be an easy kill for him. Suddenly regretting my move. He plays scout here, and if he does want to go for the village, be my guest. Not a problem. Get as many villages as you like. Now, in terms of additional units, I would say Elvish fighters. Simply because I can swarm them, unlike Wolves. Do regret my initial choice in terms of recruiting too many Wolves. You see, this particular Griffin Master is also a damage dealer. Also can grab this village and that village. He just, I mean, he can do a lot, but it feels that he's doing too much at once, so he won't be able to do everything, obviously. So he's a little bit stretched thin. Now, however he places his units, he always has to be careful about his leader. The fact that I killed the Elfseeker, I did not only kill the Elfseeker, I also killed experience, right? God, my failed here. Okay, bit confident here, but okay, thief is almost leveled up. The thief will be able to obviously backstab and deal a lot of damage. He will also be able to ignore my zone of control, so it's actually a very strong unit altogether. I don't believe this scout is the best target, to be honest. This is just a punchback on a 60% forest. Okay, Griffin Master. Well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you see Arthur's question here. Depends on the map. How good are Wowsers versus Dwarves generally in PvP? Well, it does depend on the map. So on this particular map, as you saw, Wowsers were decent simply because in these choke points, you could leverage the power of Wowsers, but on other maps where Wowsers can be backstabbed, I would say they are pretty bad. Say pretty bad. Okay, but it's really the only option. You could exchange blows with this griffins, with these fighters. Discourage basically mass melee units. At least, here and there, discourage a bit. Now, in terms of what should my units do, I feel that I should be hitting this mercilessly. Well, if my hits go in, obviously. One hit, not too shabby there. Could get this village. Oh. Just don't see the point. Better to perhaps attack this. So I just could get this village. Now I won't put my archer there simply because it can be backstabbed, and I don't particularly appreciate being backstabbed. Now a griffin is probably hoping to catch reinforcements, which is a valid play. Now, in terms of the placement of this archer, I would like him to reach absolutely everything here. So, I also want him to be safe, so perhaps 60% be the way to go. And then it can have decent reach from that particular village. In terms of further attacking here, I don't have high appetite for that. This would have to do. Maybe the scout is not the best in this position. I mean, it can be food for the dwarvish fighter, so from this perspective, perhaps it would be better to just run away. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from this perspective, just run away. No reason to complicate matters at this point. I mean, if he does want to kill the scout, he would have to use his Griffin Master, which would be a waste at this point. I don't want to be feeding units. And with this being said, yeah, that's a valid positioning, I would say. Everybody's on 60%, more or less. Dwarves is on 20. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Forgot about that backstab potential, which is basically making my Wows an incredibly easy target. Well, that was my mistake. That was all my mistake. However, he does need to use now, so he used 2 units to kill the Wows. Now he needs to use another unit to grab the village. So, yeah, it's not. I mean, if he wants to grab the village, of course, he could be focusing on killing units, which is what I would do if I was in his place. I wouldn't care about villages that much. Apparently, this Griffin Master cannot hit, and it cannot be hit back. I don't mind. I'm really happy about the fact that he doesn't hit, to be honest. This will be a problem if Dwarvish Fighter becomes level 2. That would be a big problem. I don't have units with lots of damage coming, so I really have to manage my units well. I shouldn't be. I mean, it's okay to, of course, exchange some units, but I shouldn't be throwing my units into a meat grinder. I should be trying to avoid that. I don't think this leader will ever get to recruit. I don't think villages matter. He should be trying to kill units, for example. He should be using this on the 40% fighter from this particular tile. This would be, taking this village would be such a waste. But perhaps this should get the village, but I'm not really sure. I mean, he's in a tough spot. He just has too many things to worry about. I can afford losing some units in order to deal retaliation damage. So from this perspective, I think it's already won. But again, you should never count your opponent out. This is how games are lost in a very silly manner. In terms of okay, never mind. He went for the village. He also went for some sort of line here. However, if you look, my Wows can hit a 50%, and at this point, 50% is basically a go. So it's not a high defense considering what is going on. You know, the amount of advantage that I have. I could use my archer from 50% to attack, put some damage into this Griffin Master, which is being a pain. Now this is the damage dealer, this is what I want to be attacking. However, this guy is also dealing a lot of retaliation damage. So from this perspective, you see what it did to my fighter there. I have to be careful. If I keep attacking him, then I'll be in trouble. This particular footpad is not doing too much. However, it's also not dealing retaliation damage. So from this perspective, I'm keen on attacking him a bit. Okay, never mind. Now I have my fighters on 40%. This is how games are lost again. Now, I'm not sure about attacking this Griffin Master at this point. Sure, attacking him with range, that's one thing. But attacking him with melee, that's another. It's dawn. Might as well wait for day before I take any further commitments in terms of attacks that could backfire. Now I will be recruiting more Elvish archers simply because I feel that the end is near and I need to basically reinforce all these units with some ranged damage as well, and they will all get there at the same time. Just plan a bit here. Okay. This would restrict the movement of the Griffin Master, forcing him to make some decisions. So yes, I will say, sure, I'll do that. So this would at least force the Griffin Master to, all these units would be a bit starved for movement points, and my archer would be a bit better protected as well. So it remains to be seen how he is going to play it. I'm not going to overthink it at this point. I have a lot of units coming his way. He would need a miracle, and this is a miracle in the making. He would need a miracle to basically fight back. This is just going to deal so much damage, this Dwarvish Steelclad. And my archers are not going to fare too well versus the Dwarvish Steelclad. Probably I should recruit more. I mean, next turn I will recruit a Shaman together with an Elvish Fighter. He will just waltz around with this rogue and deal tremendous amounts of damage. Hopefully I will deal some damage in return. But again, this remains to be seen. I will take anything that's on 30% or 50%, like up here top. 50% is not something I'm afraid of engaging. So 4 units versus 50%, that's better than attacking a level 2 on 30% or level 2 on 50%. He shouldn't have gone for this village. He should have stayed on 70%, I feel. Anyway, I will keep doing my, as long as I can kill units one by one, even if I lose 2 units for 1, I would say I'm slowly going towards victory. Unfortunately, this is a slow-paced game simply because of the factions involved. Dwarves versus Elves. It's more or less this is how it's going to be, and it's always a fight for the strategic positions. Okay, what is he going to do? So he is going to go for this fighter here, and he's probably going to try to put the experience into the footpad, I would assume. Oh, that was close. That was really close. Now he needs to use another unit, yet another unit there, so it's going to be the rogue. Yes, it's going to be the rogue. But as you can see, he used 3 units. Okay, 4 units to kill 2 units, 2 of my units, which is normal. But you see how quickly he runs out of units. So 4 units to kill 2 of mine, took a village, and then he... Okay, never mind. So GG. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He has surrendered. And it was only a matter of time, considering the armies that were coming his way. So I hope you guys liked it. And I shall see you, ladies and gentlemen, later.